We are on day 10 of 100 videos, 100 days, 100 videos, 200 questions, which means we have made it 10% of the way through without missing a day. And that's a cause for celebration. If I knew how to edit videos, I would put some canned sound of cheering here, but I don't. So I'm just going to cheer for myself. All right. And it's not nighttime yet. So I'm doing this early. And I almost look put together, like 60% put together. Got a giant zit still working its way. That's great. That's all right. We're moving through. Okay, let's get the question for today. I got to try and finish this before. I almost dropped my entire thing. Before the entire family gets home, and I got two. So we'll put that one back. Okay, today was going to be the day that I was going to put in some insightful questions that other people have given me, and I forgot. It's Sunday, family's home. That's just, it is what it is. All right, so today we finally got a copywriting question. I feel like it's been so long since I've gotten a copywriting question. Like it's been 10 days. But I know there's a lot in there, so eventually we're going to go through this run of copywriting questions. Okay, how do you keep your copy fresh and engaging? In one word, research. You need to read the room and find out what's working in the market to keep the path, right? And not try and reinvent the wheel, because that might work, but the odds of things that are already working, also working for you, is much higher than the odds of you being the person who comes up with this brand new, fresh take. Not to say that it's impossible, and it's definitely worth trying in some cases, but that's why we test. We test tried and true versus fresh and innovative. And then go with the winner. So research is really big. Research of what's going on in the market, what's going on with the audience, what's going on with the news. Any of this is good. And also, to keep it, what did it say, fresh and engaging? To keep it engaging, the easiest, just most simple way to make your copy more engaging that so many new and established copywriters, the mistake that they make is that they don't read it aloud. So they go and they write it and they read it in their head and they're like, this sounds great. This sounds fantastic. Submit, going to client. And it just doesn't convert because it doesn't end up making sense. Either your words just aren't resonating. They don't sound conversational. It sounds really like frigid and kind of like bulky almost. Or the phrasing does not translate to the ear, which you might think like, but Whitney, we're writing this for people to read it. But what you're going to read as the person who wrote it that knows the intention is going to be different than what the prospect or the audience is going to read. And by reading it aloud, you can hear it how someone else might hear it or interpret it. And this is especially true in your editing process for recognizing when words just sound like they're out of place. It might be the fact that you use the same word like 2 lines ahead, or you end up rhyming somewhere that kind of gets weird when you rhyme, or maybe it sounds great when you rhyme. You're like, we're going to use rhyming more. Or just you get stuck on it. You're reading it and you realize that you're reading it aloud, and you realize as you're reading it aloud, you're tripping over your words and you can't get it out easily. That's when your prospects, your audience, people reading your copy are also going to trip over it. And then that's adding friction to their experience. And friction is the enemy of good copy. Really good marketing, period. The less friction you can create, the more likely your copy will be successful. And friction comes in terms of objections, in terms of bad editing, in terms of not sounding native English if you're writing for an English-speaking audience, being confusing, not being clear, getting too clever. All of these things are friction. All right, so that's the answer of how to keep my copy fresh and engaging. And let's see what our question for the day is. So what adjective do I want to use? Hey chat, give me another question. This time, make it inspiring. So I'm going to ask you, the people who, the hordes of people watching this video, what adjectives should I use when I'm asking ChatGPT to give me a random question? Today it was inspiring. Yesterday it was spicy. Let's see what we get. I want to know what you think. If you could start a global movement about a cause you care deeply about, what would it be, and what change do you hope it would to bring about in the world? Inspiring. Okay, so a cause that I care a lot about, there's a couple. I really care a lot about I'm a feminist, and I just realized that my computer is not charging and it's going to probably die. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry. I'm a feminist. So the idea of like the wage gap and just the way that women are perceived in a lot of traditionally male-dominated roles frustrates me. And I think a lot of it is because it has been such a short amount of time that women have even been allowed to hold those roles that it takes an entire society to change their mind on what's acceptable before it becomes commonplace. And we're not there yet, strictly because we haven't had enough generational turnover, right? So that is a cause that I would love to be part of a global movement on. Eliminating the wage gap, not just for women versus men, but for women of color versus their white woman equivalent, because it's even worse when you add another sort of, another sort of hurdle, and that's even the wrong word, and I apologize because I am not super well spoken in this sort of capacity, but adding another thing that makes you not like the people in power just makes your struggle harder. So I wouldn't want it to just be women in general. I would want women in color to be at the forefront and to make them champions of this change, to be the ones that are almost most affected. Because there's no excuse for why it still exists. Absolutely none. Why the wage gap and the sort of perception of women of color, of really any minority group not being held to the same. It's almost like, it's not even that they're not held to the same standards. The expectation of them to be put at the same place as someone else is so much higher. Like this, the privilege, it's insane. So that's one. And this is getting way more deep than I usually go. The other one is I would like to start a global movement that helps foster children and children with bad home situations. And I don't know exactly what that would look like, but if we could give the kids that are most vulnerable a better fighting chance to create the opportunities that seem so easy for a lot of other kids, I think we would be shocked at the amount of potential and talent and intelligence that is being wasted because they, at a young age, they are perceiving themselves as not worthwhile. And so that would be another big one. And some of it is like, Whitney, well, you could create this movement for one, for two, and that is definitely something that's been on my mind and on my heart, to open our house to foster children. But it is it's almost harder and it's easier being in my role where I have a lot of freedom. but it also means I have to work really hard to maintain a certain standard of living, and bringing someone else into something that I don't feel super confident, and that's just my own things I need to work through. Is hard. And I also want to get my girls to an age where I feel like they are also part of the decision, because it's not fair to them if I don't give them that say. They live here too. But it is on my mind. And I think I will, maybe in 2024, I'll make that part of my resolutions to get certified to be a foster parent. And then whether I actually actively do it or not, I'll be one step closer. Even if it's just like respite care. Yeah. Ooh, that got deep. This is a good one today. I feel like it was a good one. But that's really all I got. I would love to know, A, what adjectives should I use when deciding my questions for ChatGPT? What movement would you like to start in the world? And what is something you could do for 100 days that would not require so much effort of you, but would make your life 1% better? Because that's really what this is. It's not like this is going to turn me into an influencer who gets 5-figure brand deals in 100 days. And that's not the goal. The goal is to become more confident and show to others that you can become more confident on camera. Not to become rich and famous, which being famous sounds disgusting. Sounds terrible. So what could you do to make your life 1% better? Another thing I'm doing to make my life 1% better is, which that should be a question in here. Maybe I'll add it. So maybe around like day 80. See, one thing I'm doing to make my life 1% better is I am being more intentional with skincare. Not that you could tell right now. This is actually because I think it's because I ran out of a product that I use daily, and then I didn't get enough. It came from like a FabFitFun box, and then I didn't have a replacement for it. So my skin has been sort of like in this weird state. Now I have all the products I got yesterday, so I can go back to it. But being more proactive with my skincare is going to be my 1%. And a little bit of self-care. And that's what I got going on. All right. So as always, like, comment, subscribe if you found this entertaining or engaging or interesting. I'll be here for another 90 days. Thank you so much for watching the first 10%. I hope you stick for the back 90. And that's it. Have a great day.